without you, no longer trouble. I'm looking down on those traveling lights, and I'm on my way. And I'm on my way. And I'm on my way. This torch is heavy, but I travel light. It's lonely on the top shelf, 'cause I've been there myself. Oh, I've been there, deep in my cups, high in the sky, when I just wanted something of my own. Just wanted something of my own. Looking for someone of my own. My own. Close the window and your eyes disappear into the around the great escape, drinking moonshine on the moon. It's got you feeling like a queen, but you're not quite. Looking down on those traveling lights, I'd best be on my way. I'd best be on my way. Down that moving sidewalk, I go clear-eyed and calm. Don't want the fruit from that still life. It's held me far too long, and without you, no longer trouble. I'm looking down on those traveling lights, and I'm on my way. And I'm on my way. This torch is heavy, I travel light. Just wanted something of my own. Just wanted something of my own. Looking for someone of my own. My own. Floating down that moving sidewalk, I go clear-eyed and calm. Don't want the fruit from that still life. It's held me far too long, and without you, no longer trouble. I'm looking down on those traveling lights, and I'm on my way. And I'm on my way. And I'm on my way. This torch is heavy, but I travel light. It's lonely on the top shelf, 'cause I've been there myself. Oh, I've been there, deep in my cups, high in the sky, when I just wanted something of my own. Just wanted something of my own. Looking for someone of my own. My own. Close the window and your eyes disappear into the blue. Wrap your fingers around the great escape, drinking moonshine on the moon. It's got you feeling like a queen, but you're not quite. Looking down on those traveling lights, I'd best be on my way. best be on my way. Floating down that moving sidewalk, I go clear-eyed and calm. Don't want the fruit from that still life. It's held me far too long, and without you, no longer trouble. I'm looking down on those traveling lights, and I'm on my way.
Good morning.
And I'm on my way.
And thanks for tuning in to Local News Live, a production of AOC Community Media in partnership with the Acadiana Advocate, our source of news here in the Acadiana region, and the Advocate covers news all over the state of Louisiana. Thank you again for tuning in. We're glad to provide this community service every Monday through Friday between 9 and 10 a.m. And we could not do it without the dedication and support of our volunteer newsreaders. You've been hearing more of them coming on from home as they're making time in their schedules to come and help out. And the gentleman with us today, you're very familiar with his voice, Mr. Bruce Cohen, has been picking up all of the slack in the meantime. While everybody was getting adjusted to this new normal, Bruce was reading the news from home and pioneering this process with us. So thanks, Bruce, for being a news reading volunteer pioneer and just a dedicated reader.
Well, my pleasure, Matt. No, it's really great to see other people jumping on board. We're going to be probably doing this for who knows how long before we get back into the podcast booth to do it like we used to do it. But I'm really excited that people are coming on board, and it's really good to have different voices, to hear different voices read the newspaper every morning. I think that was the intent of the program to begin with. So I'm glad we're getting back to that. That's really great.
Well, it's also really great to have your voice back on, and I'm going to sit back, listen to it on Cypress Street. Thank you, Bruce.
Thank you, my main man, Matt. Thank you, Matt. Well, a very good morning to you. This is Friday, July 24th, 2020. And again, good morning, Acadiana. We'll start off with, of course, coronavirus news. Virus deaths in Acadiana continue rapid rise by Ben Myers. Acadiana coronavirus deaths continue to accelerate at a rapid pace on Thursday. The 7-parish Region 4 recorded 10 deaths Thursday, making it 26 deaths reported over the past 2 days. The same 2 days of the previous week combined for 8 deaths. The rolling 14-day death count has shown an alarming spike since Tuesday, when there have been 49 deaths over the previous 2 weeks. On Wednesday, the rolling total was 60, and on Thursday it was 69, a 123% increase over the rolling total on July 9th. The Region 4 death count over 2 weeks never eclipsed 56 during the spring coronavirus spike, and it never increased by more than 7 from one day to the next. Deaths tend to follow hospitalizations, which has spiked in Region 4 over the past month at a rate that officials say is unsustainable. But Thursday showed improvement on the front, with 7 fewer COVID-19 inpatients than the previous day. The 297 inpatients was still a net increase of 29 over July 16th, but the rate of increase may be slowing. Increase over the past week was less than half the increase in the previous 7-day period, which was slightly less than the week before that. The glimmer of hope on hospitalizations, daily case and test numbers continued to show a mixed outlook. The region's 7-day caseloads were less than on Thursday than it was on July 16th, making the third straight day of such a decline. The decline was most noticeable in Lafayette Parish, where the 7-day caseload hit its peak on July 16th at 1,227. The parish's 7-day caseload on Thursday was 938, marking a 24% reduction and a return to the level it was 2 weeks ago. Iberia Parish had seen a similar decline in new cases. But the rolling weekly caseloads remained at record highs in Acadia and St. Landry parishes and at very high historical levels in Evangeline, Vermilion, and St. Martin parishes. One hospital caveat is that the current 7-day caseloads include the July 20th daily totals, which included cases from both tests. As a percentage of new tests, new cases across the region over the past week were essentially flat compared with the previous week, with some parishes increasing and others decreasing. Okay. Judge Landry qualifies to challenge Duhay for district attorney by Katie Gagliano. Recently retired 16th Judicial District Judge Lori Landry on Thursday qualified to challenge sitting District Attorney Bo Duhay for his seat this fall, months after a contentious legal face-off between the two when Duhay's office attempted to remove Landry from hundreds of criminal cases. Qualifying records on the Louisiana Secretary of State's office website show Landry submitted paperwork Thursday to run for the seat, only days after retiring from her position as a district court judge for Iberia, St. Martin, and St. Mary parishes. Landry and Duhay so far are the only two candidates in the running for the November 3rd election, with qualifying closing on Friday, today. Landry submitted a resignation letter dated July 16th to the Secretary of State's office and officially retired from her judicial position on Tuesday. Landry was first elected as the court's Division H judge in 2002, and her most recent term was slated to expire December 31st. She was the first Black woman to serve as an assistant district attorney in the 16th Judicial District, and was also the first Black woman to serve as judge, according to her biography on the judicial website. She worked in the district attorney's office for over 8 years before running for elected office. Because Landry retired with less than a year remaining in her term, a special election does not need to be held to fill her seat, a letter from the Secretary of State's office to the Louisiana Supreme Court said. Duhay began his term as district attorney for Iberia, St. Martin, and St. Mary parishes in January 2015 after an unopposed run to fill the seat vacated by longtime district attorney Phil Haney. Duhay joined the district attorney's office as a prosecutor in 1993, according to an Advocate article. His current term ends January 10th, according to the Louisiana Secretary of State's office. Tensions between the former co-workers flared last fall. Duhay's office filed hundreds of identical recusal motions against Landry, attempting to have her removed from over 300 criminal cases. The district attorney's office began filing the motions September 17th and argued Landry was biased and prejudiced against this office such that she cannot be fair or impartial. The motion claimed that Landry made unfounded comments about the district attorney's office being biased against Black defendants, and that she bullied assistant district attorneys, victims, and others between October 2015 and September 2019. Supporters rallied at hearings for Landry's case, arguing the district attorney was attempting to subvert the voters' will and unseat Landry without an election. Duhay's office agreed to drop the motions after 4 days of hearings in December, where roughly a dozen district attorney's office staff members testified to their interactions with Landry. On the fourth day, Landry and Duhay appeared before a packed courtroom and announced they would privately work to resolve their differences and improve communication for the good of the community. Bo and I, Judge Landry and District Attorney Duhay, we have talked as friends, colleagues, Christians, and decided to do the right thing, Landry said. We stand before you and say, we're going to do better. The school board proceeds with reopening plan. Lafayette parents, teachers raise safety concerns by Katie Gagliano. Lafayette Parish School Board voted narrowly Wednesday to advance its initial reopening plan after hours of back and forth and impassioned urging from about a dozen parents and teachers to consider a virtual approach or delayed start. With the board's vote, students will return to classes in a hybrid schedule on August 17th, with students split into groups, alternating in-person classes and virtual coursework. Families concerned about safety can consider the Lafayette Online Academy, a fully virtual self-guided learning system, as an alternative to in-person classes. District 4 board member Temi Chason pushed various amendments to significantly alter the school return plan without success. He raised concerns about the rising number of COVID-19 cases and the likelihood of schools becoming a vector for virus spread once again. This probably is the most important decision we've made as a school board ever, said Chason, who is a pharmacist. Pamela Thibodeau shared similar concerns. Pamela Thibault. Grandmother says she recovered from COVID-19 roughly 33 days ago, and she's concerned that physically reopening schools will put her 15 school-age grandchildren at unnecessary risk for infection. She says she doesn't want the children ages 5 to 16 to experience the intense abdominal pain, nausea, vomiting, and headaches she did while infected. Who can expect children to endure that pain if it's that hard for an adult? Last night, my 11-year-old grandson looked at me and said, "Mama, I'm scared to go back to school. I want to be homeschooled." He's scared because he quarantined with me and saw what I went through, she said. The voting was complicated by District 6 board member Justin Santani's absence. Santani remained home as a safety precaution after a family member was potentially exposed to COVID-19. Each key vote on motions to delay the start of school and shift to a fully virtual start was split 4-4. Jason switched his votes to absenteeism to avoid Santani having to appear in person to break the tie. Noting Santani expressed his support for an August 17th hybrid school start. Hannah Smith Mason, District 8 board member, guided the effort to pass the existing plan. Mason said after the meeting, that days earlier she had been closer to Jason's perspective, but after discussions with Santani and others, decided moving forward is the best path. Mason said she supports the plan because it provides families with options for student learning and allows the school district to keep moving forward. But it can also be reconsidered at a moment's notice if the COVID-19 situation worsens before the start of school. I know Temi is a chemist, but I'm very much a realist. Our world is not without risk. We all take a chance driving here. We all take risks every step of our day, Mason said during the meeting. Pearson Cross, University of Louisiana Lafayette Associate Dean of the College of Liberal Arts, questioned why the district would reopen when cases are rising rapidly and viral spread is more common. And meanwhile, in March, schools closed for a limited number of cases in another parish. I love the plan. It's a great plan. I just don't think the situation in terms of the pandemic warrants anything but virtual right now. I think it's rash to pursue a phase 2 plan when, frankly, we're in a phase 1 situation, Cross said. Chason several times referenced a statement from Dr. Tina Stefanski, Louisiana Department of Health Region 4 medical director, who said earlier in the meeting she's unaware of any other country that's opened schools with a number of cases that are currently circulating in the state and region. Stefanski contributed to review of the district's reopening plan and expressed confidence in the district's commitment of keeping students and staff safe despite the unknowns. Although the plans look great on paper, the reality may be quite different, Erin May said. May read a letter from her high-risk colleague who raised concerns about the ability of school infrastructure to support proposed sanitation protocols and social distancing. The overall physical condition of LPSS facilities have been neglected for years due to underfunding. LPSS could not keep its facilities properly cleaned and maintained prior to the pandemic. And we believe LPSS past behavior is the best way to predict its future, May read. Julia Reed, president of the Lafayette Parish Association of Educators, praised the hard work put into the plan, but challenged the push to return. Reed said the additional stress educators feel around the personal safety and that of their families will make it difficult to best serve students in person. Although virtual learning will be difficult, teachers can find a way, she said. I've always taught low-income and minority students, and they'll be the ones that most likely will suffer under the hybrid model. I will again ask that you reconsider them because they're important and I love them. I can't wait to see them again, but I don't know if I can bear the thought of one of them being hurt if I brought the virus to school, Reed said through tears. On Wednesday morning, Reed released results from the new union member survey showing 64.7% of the 450 respondents felt the virtual school option is the safest, while 78.2% supported pushing the start of school until after Labor Day. The union represents around 1,000 educators in Lafayette Parish, she said. In a district survey this summer, 31.2% of the roughly 2,400 staff respondents selected virtual learning as their top school reopening option, while 27.6% chose the hybrid model and 42.2% selected in-person classes. Lafayette NAACP President Marcia Broussard also spoke out in concern for Black and marginalized students. She said the NAACP strongly opposes the reopening of brick and mortar schools because of the heightened safety risk for Black students, but also because of the mental health repercussions and trauma that will be inflicted if school is started and then suddenly ripped away from the students again. At the end of debate and public comment, Chason cautioned patience and for people, whether pleased with the board's decisions or angered by it, to temper their feelings and understand the things could change before classes begin in mid-August. This thing is going to fluctuate, and as it gets closer, these trends may go up, it may go down, and things may change. If you get what you want tonight as far as starting school, it still may end up changing at a later date, Jason said. And we'll turn to the first PSA of the morning. The Festival of Words is hosting the Pieces of Hope virtual open mic. On Wednesday, July 29th, that's next Wednesday at 7 p.m., the Festival of Words, the annual literary festival that's usually held in Grand Coteau, hosts Pieces of Hope virtual open mic on Zoom. For 15 years, the festival has hosted the Grand Coteau-based event featuring writers, musicians, and storytellers. The literary community of Acadiana is live and well online all through this coronavirus pandemic. We come together to share or just to listen and enjoy our hopes, dreams, poems, and stories. The 2-hour open mic presents 20 writers and musicians, each performing for 5 minutes. Performers are from Louisiana and throughout the U.S. Make yourself a drink, grab some cheese and crackers, and sit back to enjoy some exquisite performances that will soothe, entertain, and enlighten. Featured performers next week are Megan Bro, Melissa Bonine, Laurie Brinkhouse, Taylor Cohen, Toby Gaspard, Charles Claudel Garrett, Sid Jackson, Kendra Hamilton, Shia Abier, Lori Henderson, Kirby Jambon, Julie Kane, Jacqueline Langston Lewis, Tarisha Lestraps, Claire L. Martin, James McDowell, Sister Rose Quilter or Rose Quilter, Carol Rice, Denise Rogers, Bessie Sinet, and Bruce Snow. Go to the Facebook page for Pieces of Hope virtual open mic. The link to the Zoom Cafe will be available on the day of the event, or contact Martha at fowmartha@gmail.com or call 337-804-2482. This free community event is suitable for all ages and is sponsored by the Festival of Words Cultural Arts Collective. Okay, we'll go back into our news. A Ville Platte man held on child porn possession. Suspect was former volunteer for Lafayette Diocese by Ken Stickney. A Ville Platte man was being held Thursday in lieu of $350,000 bail at the Rapides Parish Detention Center, accused by the Louisiana Attorney General's Office of possessing child pornography. Isaac Calderon Sierra, 22, was accused Tuesday of possession of pornography that involved the sexual abuse of an animal and pornography involving juveniles 13 or younger. On Monday, he was booked as a fugitive accused of a felony. KTC-TV reported that Calderon Sierra was affiliated with the Diocese of Lafayette. The diocese confirmed the suspect formerly volunteered for a youth group that met at Our Lady Queen of All Saints Church in Ville Platte. In keeping with our safe environment protocols, Mr. Calderon never had any opportunity to be alone with any youth during youth group gatherings, nor have we received any complaints in connection with the youth group, the diocese said in a prepared statement. If you have any information on the case, please contact the Evangeline Parish Sheriff's Office at 337-363-2161. As this is an ongoing criminal investigation, the diocese will have no further comment on the matter. A statement from the Louisiana Attorney General's Office said the suspect was arrested after an investigation involving the Louisiana Bureau of Investigation Cybercrime Unit, Louisiana Bureau of Investigation Fugitive Apprehension Unit, Evangeline Parish Sheriff's Office, Rapides Parish Sheriff's Office, Homeland Security Investigations, and the Lafayette Parish Sheriff's Office. The investigation was initiated following a tip from the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. An arrest warrant was obtained for the suspect in Evangeline Parish on Monday for 5 counts of child pornography, the Attorney General's office said. He was located that day in Rapides Parish and booked at the Rapides Parish Correctional Center. On Tuesday, he was rebooked at the jail on 300 counts of child pornography and 5 counts of sexual abuse of animals. Spokesman said all the cases involved possession of pornography and not physical acts by the suspect. Okay, continuing with coronavirus news. Let's look at the state in terms of coronavirus. 101,650 cases in Louisiana and over 4 million test positive cases in the U.S. Cases surpassed troubling milestones. The state asked for health workers at hospitals as hospitals take capacity by St. Carlin. Hampered by dwindling staff numbers, hospital leaders across the state warned Thursday that they are at or near capacity amid a surge in coronavirus cases that made Louisiana the 12th and smallest state to confirm 100,000 infections. The wave of infections that continued during this week comes as Governor John Bel Edwards signed an order that is keep the state in a modified version of its Phase 2 reopening plan, one that shutters bars and mandates masks when people are out in public for 2 more weeks. Governor said Thursday he doesn't want to go back to Phase 1, which would involve reducing capacity at restaurants and other businesses, or even to a stay-at-home directive. But what we cannot have happen here is we lose the ability to deliver life-saving care in our hospitals, he said. Hospitals in several regions of the state appear to be heading in that direction. The governor asked the federal government and several hundred healthcare workers to aid shortages at facilities across the state. Executives at the largest hospitals in the Lafayette region, Lafayette General Medical Center and Our Lady of Lourdes Regional Medical Center, joined Edwards at a news conference to issue sobering warnings about their capacity. Dr. Amanda Luge, Chief Medical Officer at Lafayette General, said our hospital is full and our ICU was full. The hospital has transferred patients to as far as Mississippi, she said, and it's quickly running out of space and staff. Luge added the system, which typically welcomes transfers into its facilities, has declined 87% of the requests for transfers into its hospitals this month. 5 hospital system had 20 COVID-19 patients 6 weeks ago, and on Wednesday had 143, she said. Dr. Henry Kaufman, Chief Medical Officer of Our Lady of Lourdes, said for the past 2 weeks the hospital has completely halted elective procedures, including serious surgeries like heart bypasses and early-stage cancer operations. Our hospital is full, Kaufman said. Our ICU is at or near capacity. This has significantly affected our normal operations. Our Lady of the Lake Regional Medical Center in Baton Rouge, one of the state's largest hospitals, halted some non-emergency medical procedures and said Thursday it was at capacity. Dr. Manley Jordan, Chief Medical Officer at Lake Charles' largest hospital, Memorial Health System, said in an interview that the hospital has seen COVID-19 patients jump from 0 in late May to 58 on Thursday. He said he's worried about the capacity of the hospital's intensive care unit and more importantly, whether the facility will have enough nurses and other health professionals to care for patients. As of today, we're treading water, he said. What's concerning is where we're going to be in a few days. Edwards said he requested almost 700 healthcare workers from the Federal Emergency Management Agency, or FEMA, last week to stem a growing staff shortage. That includes 200 nurses, 250 ICU nurses, 150 patient care attendants, 30 licensed practical nurses, 10 lab technicians, 40 respiratory therapy technicians, and 10 phlebotomists. That request came after Edwards consulted health leaders from across the state. FEMA told the governor to first make that request to other states, but Louisiana got 0 hits, including the staff shortage is being experienced across the U.S. Even if for some strange reason that's totally incomprehensible to me, you don't care about COVID-19, you should care about that hospital capacity when you have an automobile accident, when you have a heart attack or your stroke or your mother or grandmother has that stroke, Edwards said, because we're talking about the same staff, the same beds all over Louisiana. Unemployment jumps across Louisiana again. Rise is driven by hospitality as far as shuttered by Christian Mossbrugger. New unemployment claims and existing claims both increased last week with more than 313,100 workers remaining on the unemployment rolls across Louisiana. There were 32,079 first-time unemployment claims filed last week, up from 26,351 1 week before. Existing unemployment claims increased to 313,117 as of last week, up from 312,893 1 week before, the Louisiana Workforce Commission reported. State officials shuttered bars in recent weeks in an attempt to curb the spike in new coronavirus cases and ease the squeeze on local healthcare systems. That move is being reflected in unemployment claims, with first-time claims in the food services and accommodation sector jumping more than 6,100 last week. Louisiana's trend is a national trend, following a national trend. More than 1.4 million people applied for jobless benefits last week, the U.S. Labor Department said Thursday, up from 1.3 million the previous week. This is the first increase since March and 18th straight week that it has topped 1 million. The weakening of the labor market has raised fears the national economy will shed jobs again in July after 2 sharp hiring gains in May and June. The labor market remains in a precarious place as COVID-19 cases surge in some parts of the country and fresh lockdown measures are adapted in response, said Nancy Van Den Houten, lead economist at Oxford Economics, a consulting firm. And Louisiana retail trade was another significant driver with 3,567 new claims filed across the state last week. New unclassified claims totaled 3,141, healthcare and school social assistance 3,063, construction 2,897. By comparison to more typical filings over 2,000 349 new claims were filed during the week ending July 20th last year. At that time, the state only had 17,688 total existing unemployment claims. Congress is renegotiating another aid package that could extend extra federal unemployment support, though likely at less than the $600 recipients have received weekly on top of the state payments. With the extra $600, roughly 2/3 of the unemployed are receiving more in aid than they earned at their former jobs. Research has shown, a finding that's led to observation, that it is discouraging people from returning to work. Okay, getting on to the half-hour mark in our broadcast this morning. We'll read another PSA and then move on to the day in history and the zodiac and the funerals in the Acadiana area for today. Earlier, I read a public service announcement from the Festival of Words. Here's another one. This one is about a program called Words for You, a fundraiser for Festival of Words. It runs July 8th through August 26th, and you can find out the information by going to festivalwords.org. Or you can contact Martha Gardner at fowmartha@gmail.com or 337-804-2482. And what Words for You is a project of commissioned poems, stories, and songs. Under this project, Festival supporters will have the opportunity to commission a work by a favorite author. So how it works is we have approximately 30 authors available to choose from. Go to festivalwords.org to begin the process. You can go to the website homepage and you'll see at the very top a very highly read area that says Words for You. Choose an author to create an original work for you, make a donation online, fill out a brief questionnaire about yourself to help the author get started. The writer receives a request to create a new work based on the prompts, and a virtual performance of the new works will take place sometime late August or early September. Volunteer authors have included Darryl Bork, a former poet laureate, Dominique Cross, and journalist, Toby Daspit, Gina Ferrara, Mona Lisa Saloy, Valentine Pierce, John Warner Smith, our current Louisiana State Poet Laureate, and many more. There's a $50 donation to get your work done for one original work and a $100 donation for a poem by a current or former poet laureate. AOC teams up with the United Way of Acadiana for Learn United. United Way of Acadiana has teamed up with AOC and other local educational groups for Learn United, bridging the digital gap to provide educational resources for households that don't have internet but do have a television. The Learn United program airs weekdays from 8 to 2 on AOC 2, Cox 16, LUS 4, and streaming at aocinc.org/watch. For daily schedules and to submit content for the program, visit the United Way of Acadiana website. That's unitedwayofacadiana.org/learn-united. Getting back into the news, a severe weather system threatens Louisiana with rain. Depression expected to become Tropical Storm Hannah, and as of this morning, that depression has been officially named Tropical Storm Hannah by Mark Schiffelstein. Much of the Texas coastline was put under tropical storm warnings on Thursday afternoon in anticipation of Tropical Depression H strengthening into Tropical Storm Hannah in the Gulf of Mexico by Friday morning, making landfall near Port O'Connor, roughly midway down the state's coastline about noon on Saturday. And a NOAA Hurricane Hunter aircraft is scheduled to investigate the depression this evening, and the current expectation is that they will find it a typical storm. Jack Bevan, a senior specialist with the National Hurricane Center, said in a 4 p.m. forecast message, the storm plus overly moist atmospheric conditions in the Gulf that will last through next week poses a significant rainfall threat for South Louisiana. according to forecasters with the Slidell office of the National Weather Service. Projections call for 2 to 4 inches of rain south of Interstate 10 through Sunday. As long as it happens over 3 days, we'll be able to handle it without major issues. So no current plans for a flood or flash flood watch. But there's certainly the potential in later forecasts if it becomes apparent that a particular area comes to the focus for persistent heavy rain, a forecast message from the weather agency said. With expected maximum winds of only 60 miles per hour on landfall, the agency expects Hannah's biggest threat to be its rainfall, with 3 to 5 inches expected along the Gulf Coast, including Texas, Louisiana, and northern Mexico. Some locations will see maximums of 10 inches through Monday. The National Hurricane Center is also tracking Tropical Storm Gonzalo, which was racing across the central Atlantic Ocean at 13 miles per hour at 4 p.m. Thursday. Gonzalo has top winds of 60 miles per hour and was still expected to reach minimal hurricane strength as it nears the Caribbean Sea on Saturday. Hurricane watch was in effect for Barbados and St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and a tropical storm watch was issued for Tobago and Grenada. However, the storm is expected to lose power as it moves into the Caribbean and dissipates by the time it passes Haiti. Hurricane forecast models were split on whether the small storm would continue to intensify in response to warm sea surface temperatures and relatively light wind shear, or be weakened by dry air that's expected to wrap into its core over the next few days. Okay, looking at today in history. Today is Friday, July 24th, the 206th day of 2020. There are 100 potential shopping days of 160 left in the year. Today's highlight in history: on July 24th, 1974, the U.S. Supreme Court unanimously ruled that President Richard Nixon had to turn over subpoenaed White House tape recordings to the Watergate special prosecutor. On this date in 1847, Mormon leader Brigham Young and his followers arrived in the Great Salt Lake Valley in present-day Utah. In 1858, Republican senatorial candidate Abraham Lincoln formally challenged Democrat Stephen A. Douglas to a series of political debates. The result was 7 face-to-face encounters. In 1862, Martin Van Buren, the 8th president of the United States, and the first to have been born a U.S. citizen, died at age 79 in Kinderhook, New York, the town where he was born in 1782. In 1911, Yale University history professor Hiram Bingham III found the lost city of the Incas, Machu Picchu, in Peru. In 1915, the SS Eastland, a passenger ship carrying more than 2,500 people, rolled onto its side while docked at the Clark Street Bridge on the Chicago River. An estimated 844 people died in that disaster. In 1937, the state of Alabama dropped charges against 4 of the 9 black youths accused of raping 2 white women in the Scottsboro case. In 1969, the Apollo 11 astronauts, 2 of whom had been the first men to set foot on the moon, splashed down safely in the Pacific. In 1975, an Apollo spacecraft splashed down in the Pacific, completing a mission which included the first ever docking with the Soyuz capsule from the Soviet Union. In 2002, 9 coal miners became trapped in a flooded tunnel at the Creek mine in western Pennsylvania. The story ended happily 77 hours later with the rescue of all 9. And in 2018, the Trump administration said it would provide $12 billion in emergency relief to farmers hurt by trade disputes with China and other countries. 10 years ago, a stampede inside a tunnel grotto with techno music fans left 21 people dead and more than 500 injured at the famed Love Parade Festival in Western Germany. 5 years ago, fulfilling the hopes of millions of Kenyans, Barack Obama returned to his father's homeland for the first time as U.S. president, a visit long sought by a country that considered him a local son. And 1 year ago today, in a day of congressional testimony, Robert Mueller dismissed President Donald Trump's claim of total exoneration in Mueller's probe of Russia's 2016 election interference. Also on this date, 1 year ago, Boris Johnson took office as Britain's Prime Minister, vowing to break the impasse that defeated his predecessor, Theresa May, and led the country out of the European Union, which still hasn't happened. Today's birthdays: actor John Aniston is 87, comedian Ruth Buzzi is 84, actor Dan Hedaya is 80 years old, actress Chris Sarandon, 78, comedian Gallagher, the man who used to go on stage with a hammer, huge hammer, mallet, and smash watermelons, is 74. Actor Robert Hayes, 73. Actor Michael Richards from the Seinfeld series, 71. Actress Linda Carter is 69. Movie director Gus Van Sant is 68. Country singer Pam Till is 63. Former Basketball Hall of Famer Karl Malone is 57. Retired Major League Baseball All-Star Barry Bonds is 56. Actor singer Kristen Chenoweth is 52. And Jennifer Lopez is 51 today. And country singer Jared Neiman is 41. Looking at the zodiac, if you're a Leo, push yourself to the limit. Hope you project what you have to offer will determine how much recognition you get. Make unusual plans to celebrate with a loved one. Unusual plans. Interesting. Virgo, my birth sign. Emotions will be close to the surface. Channel your energy into making positive changes that will bring you closer to the people who always have your back. Libras, don't get involved in other people's affairs. Concentrate on personal improvements that will build confidence and prompt you to do what's best for you. Romance is on the rise. Scorpio, get involved in activities that will help you grow mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. You don't have to spend money to gain acceptance. You just have to do what's right. Sagittarius, question information that sounds suspicious. Consider the consequences of misbehavior. Take the high road and focus on peace, love, and paying it forward. Romance is favored. Capricorns, fine-tune your plan to put a reasonable schedule in place. Make changes at home or to relationships that will improve your life. Aquarius, safely tuck away your money, possessions, and passwords. Don't get involved in someone else's get-rich-quick scheme. Focus on home, learning, and lowering your overhead. Pisces, search for an innovative solution. Use intuitive intelligence when making decisions, and you will bring about positive changes to benefit those less fortunate. Distance yourself from manipulative people, or people who want to manipulate you. Aries, stay focused on what you want and what you are doing. Avoid conversations that will get your dander up or mislead you. Take action. Do what you say you will do and make a difference. Taurus, a passionate approach to something you believe in will capture attention and bring about change. Don't be afraid to be different or speak up for those who can't speak for themselves. Share your beliefs and experiences. Geminis, emotions will surface. Look at situations realistically. Gather the facts and choose to use common sense and intelligence, not divisiveness and chaos. Promote love and peace. And finally, Cancer. Spend time with people who bring out the best in you. Discussions will lead to alternative ways to solve problems concerning your position, reputation, or status. As always, the horoscope is an entertainment feature not based on scientific fact. Funerals today in the Acadiana area. Paul Denanda Jr., St. Genevieve Catholic Church in Lafayette at 1:30. Robert Fries, Our Lady of Perpetual Hope Catholic Church at 1303 St. Jude Avenue at 2 p.m. Letitia Olivier, St. Charles Borromeo Roman Catholic Church at 11:30 a.m. And Christopher Young at the Family Life Church, 2223 Dulles Drive in Lafayette at 5 p.m. We do have an entertainment story today from The Advocate, and this is called No Holding Back. Master P, No Limit Records, to be featured in BET docuseries by Keith Spira, staff writer for The Advocate. Master P is getting the documentary treatment. The New Orleans rap mogul who also lived in Baton Rouge in the late 1990s and early 2000s, and it has No Limit Records empire of the subject of No Limit Chronicles, a 5-part docuseries from BET. The first episode, Nightmares and Dreams, will premiere at 8 p.m. next Wednesday, followed by the second episode, Building an Army, at 9 p.m. No Limit Chronicles traces the rise of Percy Master P. Miller, who founded No Limit in the early 1990s. What started off as a street-level operation quickly grew into an entertainment powerhouse, selling millions of records, and along with the rival Cash Money Records, establishing New Orleans as a hotbed of contemporary rap. Docuseries features sit-down interviews with Master P, his son and heir apparent Romeo Miller, P's brother Silk the Shocker, No Such Limit artists such as Snoop Dogg, Mia X, Mystical, Fiend, and Mr. Servon. The series includes archival footage as well as dramatic recreations of pivotal events. Fueled by a relentless work ethic and entrepreneurial spirit and an intimate understanding of how to market to its audience, Miller and his company released dozens of albums that accounted for hundreds of millions of dollars in revenue. No Limit established a distinctive aesthetic from the stylized album artwork to the sound of its recordings and the content of its videos. Operating from bases in Baton Rouge and then Los Angeles, Miller eventually branched out into apparel, filmmaking, sports management, and other ventures with mixed success. A BET news release about the upcoming docuseries noted, as is common in many rags to riches series, with their success and money come problems. Between infighting over contract disputes and artist exodus and business deals gone awry, No Limit suffered tough times. No Limit eventually lost ground to Cash Money and hasn't scored a hit in years. But the company marches on as new No Limit Forever Records under the guidance of Romeo Miller. Meanwhile, Master P has kept busy hosting celebrity basketball games during the Essence Festival, opening a local burger chain, and marketing a hip-hop branded line of ramen noodles. That's interesting. He reunited with several No Limit alumni from the label's heyday for a performance on the Essence Festival's main stage in 2017. A reunion tour featuring many of those same No Limit artists that were slated to headline arenas this year, including an April 10th stop at the Smoothie King Center, was canceled because of the coronavirus pandemic. Percy and Romeo Miller are credited as executive producer of No Limit Chronicles. Okay, and that's it for the entertainment portion of the news this morning. We'll go to a couple more PSAs before we get back into the news. If you're feeling overwhelmed with stress, fear, and anxiety about the uncertainty surrounding the public health emergency, there is a special Keeping Calm Through COVID hotline you can call. This connects you to trained, compassionate counselors who can offer support and who can direct you to mental health and substance abuse counseling services. Trained counselors are available 24/7 and all calls are confidential. If you need the service, please reach out to 866-310-7977. That's 866-310-7977. Locally, you can stop the spread, call instead, hashtag stop the spread. Call 311 to get COVID-19 updates and information, or visit their website at 311lafayette.services. Call centers with volunteers and medical professionals are active 24/7 to answer your questions about COVID-19 and to determine if you need to get screened. You might also call 311 and press option 2 if you're a business owner, employee, or looking for a job to get information about applying for small business recovery loans, apply for unemployment benefits, and related programs. Getting back into the news, Cassidy picks up a formidable opponent. Few candidates sign up on second day by Mark Ballard, Capitol Bureau editor. Only a dozen candidates signed up Thursday at the Secretary of State's office to run in the November elections, but 6 of them are running against U.S. Senator Bill Cassidy, including an elected Democratic official. Baton Rouge Republican Cassidy is seeking a second term and now faces 10 challenges, including Democratic Shreveport Mayor Adrian Perkins. Cassidy had no formidable opponents for months in what is expected to be an easy win for an incumbent Republican in a state that has elected only one Democrat statewide, Governor John Bel Edwards, in the past decade. Cassidy plans to qualify for re-election Friday morning this morning. Candidate qualifying, which began Wednesday, continues until 4:30 p.m. today. State candidates are filing the documentation and paying the fees at the State Archives building in Baton Rouge. Local candidates sign up in their parish. On Wednesday, 368 candidates qualified to get their names into the November 3rd election. At the top of the ballot is the re-election of President Donald Trump, Republican whose main rival presumably will be the Democratic former Vice President Joe Biden. Perkins is the only elected official to challenge Cassidy so far. A West Point grad with combat experience, Perkins received endorsements from national Democrats, including U.S. Senator Cory Booker of New Jersey and former presidential candidate Pete Buttigieg, the former mayor of South Bend, Indiana. No black candidate has won a statewide election since 1887 at the end of Reconstruction, and Perkins is only the 7th Democratic elected official to run for the office elected statewide in the past decade, which saw 3 gubernatorial races, 3 U.S. Senate races, and more than 20 races for state agency heads like Attorney General. Other than Mary Landrieu, the incumbent Cassidy beat in 2014, the only elected Democrats to run against Republicans in statewide contests since 2010 have been Foster Campbell for U.S. Senate in 2016, Edwards and Kip Holden for governor and lieutenant governor, respectively, in 2015, and Charlie Melanson and Butch Goudreau in 2010. Edwards is the only winner in that crew. Perkins grew up in the high-crime, lower-income Cedar Grove neighborhood of Shreveport. His father abandoned the family when the 34-year-old was a toddler, but his mother valued education and the church. After graduating from the U.S. Military Academy at West Point, Perkins led soldiers in combat situations in Iraq and Afghanistan. He later graduated from Harvard Law School. He had no intention, as late as a few months ago, to run for another office, Perkins said, but he said he was persuaded during the pandemic after seeing his constituents lose their jobs and the federal government's somewhat befuddled response. He spoke to Democratic Party leadership both in Louisiana and nationwide before deciding. We were able to generate enough resources to make this an extremely competitive race, Perkins said. I understand the odds, but cannot afford to give Senator Cassidy another chance to provide what we desperately need provided here in Louisiana. This is a chance to choose a new road. Perkins said the highest profile of the 6 candidates filed on Thursday for the U.S. Senate race. Peter Winstrup, a math teacher in New Orleans, brought his 2 daughters with him as he signed up to challenge Cassidy as a Democrat. We've seen that during this pandemic, small business owners, nurses, teachers, food service employees, and supply chain workers have improvised to find real solutions. It's about time we elect leaders who understand this, he said. Libertarian Aaron Ziegler, a neurosurgeon from Hammond, also made his first bid for public office upon signing up on Thursday. The main thing I think we can all agree is that this country has been very divided lately, very polarized. In order to break that polarization, people deserve a real option, he said. Retired school teacher Reno Jean Darrett, a no-party Metairie, said he is running to give credibility to the ideas he wants to see America implement, such as requiring everyone to show identification to make purchases, to control undocumented immigration, and to concentrate inmates in a camp instead of prisons around the state to lower incarceration costs. Beryl Billiot, no party from Kentwood, ran against Cassidy 6 years ago on a promise of not taking contribution. That changed Thursday, he said, because last time Billiot was precluded from participating in televised debates, which to allowing only candidates who had raised $1 million or more to participate. He said he has saved money, arranged for funders, solicited contributions, and planned to hit that mark soon. The 5 representatives of the U.S. House seeking re-election all sent proxies to deliver the forms and money to the State Archives building. All 5 incumbents, 2 opponents. A few of those congressional races were expected to attract much attention. The one most likely to be competitive is U.S. Representative Clay Higgins, Republican from Lafayette, whose Democratic opponent, Rob Anderson, an oil field driller and writer running from Sulphur, has attracted national attention. Many appellate courts are also on the ballot, and hundreds of local offices are up for election. East Baton Rouge Parish is electing a mayor president and metro council. New Orleans is picking a school board. All 43 district attorneys, 217 district court judges across the state, and a handful of city court judges are also on the ballot. And mentioning Representative Higgins gets a second challenger, article by Claire Taylor. Congressman Clay Higgins of Lafayette picked up a second challenger Thursday in his bid for re-election to the 3rd Congressional District, and a 4th candidate qualified to run for Lafayette City Marshal. Brandon Lulu, a Libertarian from Lake Charles, qualified Thursday to run in the 3rd Congressional District race, joining Democrat Rob Anderson of Sulphur in trying to unseat the controversial Higgins, a Republican first elected to the seat in 2017. Meanwhile, John Trahan of Lafayette, a Democrat, John Trahan Jr. of Lafayette, a Democrat, became the 4th candidate to qualify for city marshal. 3 Lafayette men qualified on Wednesday: Nathan Broussard, Republican; Kip Judice, Republican; and Reggie Thomas, no party. Despite repeated assertions that he will run for re-election despite his legal problems, suspended city marshal Brian Pope has not qualified. Qualifying continues through today. Pope was suspended in October 2018 after a jury found him guilty in malfeasance in office. He recently lost his appeal, but is allowed to run for re-election until he reaches the end of the appeals process, which is the state Supreme Court. Additional malfeasance charges are pending against Pope. And we'll end off with a couple more PSAs. Medicaid resources. If you have lost your job or have reduced hours, you may be eligible for Medicaid. You can apply online at mymedicaid.la.gov. You can also apply by phone by calling 888-342-6207 or by mail by sending information to Louisiana Medicaid, P.O. Box 91283, Baton Rouge, LA 70821. Most Medicaid offices are currently closed to the public because of the pandemic. If additional assistance is needed, again, you can call 888-342-6207. And finally, FPSA, LEDA, individuals whose hours are being reduced at work or have been laid off on employment may qualify for unemployment insurance benefits. If you're attempting to apply for unemployment insurance and are not able to access an existing online account or need help resetting your password, call Lafayette's Acadiana Workforce Solutions office at 337-262-5601. Due to high call volume, some calls may not be answered immediately. You can call again later at another time or contact one of Louisiana's other local offices for assistance. In addition to unemployment insurance benefits, individuals looking for supplemental income can consider local employment opportunities with businesses who are seeking temporary, part-time, or full-time workers by visiting the COVID-19 Help Wanted resource page at lafayette.org/helpwanted or LEDA's virtual job fair page with local businesses seeking to hire local candidates for full-time employment opportunities at lafayette.org/jobs. And that about wraps up this Friday's edition of all the news that fits into an hour, which I have miraculously been able to do, including all the public service announcements for today, Friday, July 24th, 2020. I hope you tuned in and enjoyed the service that we offer every Monday through Friday from 9 to 10 a.m. We We have a volunteer like myself who read the newspaper from the Acadiana Advocate, our supporter in this service, a great supporter for a community of the visually impaired, or for those who don't get the newspaper or have access to any news cycle. We appreciate, again, you tuning in. This has been Bruce Cohen, and always will be Bruce Cohen. As always, I say, be safe, be healthy, and be smart. Please, folks, be smart. When you go out into the public, wear your mask. Please wear your mask. Have it on you at all times. Please stay social distance. If you're stopping to talk to a neighbor or anybody, you never know who may have the virus. A lot of people don't know that they have it, and they do because it takes 2 to 3 weeks to incubate. So please be safe, be safe, be safe. We want to stop the spread and curb this this terrible virus that's killing people. So please, please, please be safe. Have a great weekend. Again, stay safe, healthy, and smart. And we'll be back Monday morning with the news, all the news that fits into an hour. And you have a great day. And as always, be kind to each other.